Hey guys, I'm RozaldVane, and welcome back to another episode of Virtue's Last Reward, or Zero Escape VLR, or VLR, or Zero Escape Virtue's Last Reward, whichever you like to call it. Welcome back to another episode. Last episode we were being explained about what we were doing here in the Ambidex Room. The Ambidex Room has so far been sort of like a vote for your survival, or vote for the points that people earn and stuff like that in the game. It's kind of weird because it seems like we can betray another person and then like they can lose points, but we can ally with them and we gain points, but not as much points as betraying another. Stuff like that. Last episode would be the one with the most explanation behind it. I'm not gonna go through the whole thing. It's a little bit of a wordy sort of like explanation. I mean, I like the idea behind it, but it's just like there's too much explanation to it that just feels very off-putting, I guess, or very like lengthy at best for understanding a thing. But I think the point of explanation is important because it helps you. Like, it won't be explained again, obviously, but it will just help you kind of know what you can change in the story to develop a different thing that goes on. So yeah, but I'm planning on allying with, because the person we're going up against in this case scenario was Alice, I think. And Alice is the one who's like someone from the previous game, the frozen lady from the previous game. So, yeah.
ここでも2人で1人のルールは適用される。2人が投じることのできる票は1票のみ。協力か裏切りか選択できるのは一度だけなんだうさ。
Yeah, I know that the both of us would get only one vote, so we both have to be in agreement technically about what we choose.
だからといってさっき話した増減値が2分の1になったりすることはない。プラス3点はプラス3点だし、マイナス2点はマイナス2点だ。
Yeah, I know.
要するに表にあった数値がそのまま2人の BP に反映されるってこと。さてと、以上で基本的なルール説明は終了なんだうさ。
Okay.
本当はもうちょっとだけ言わなきゃいけないことがあるんだけど。まあ、あんまり長々と説明しても退屈だろうし。
Nani? What? Why does it have to wait?
いいから。
No, it won't.
投票の締め切りまで残り30分です。
I'm wondering what happens if you don't vote. That's another thing they didn't explain though.
というわけだから、そろそろ僕は失礼するよ。
Like, yeah, what happens if they don't vote? Like, what would change by then?
時間はまだたっぷりとあるんだから、最後までじっくりと悩んで結論を出すといいんじゃないかな。ほいじゃあまた後で。Have a nice trust!
I don't get the idea of, like, having a nice something being changed every step of the way. It doesn't really do much to the story, I guess, but just, I don't know. Alright. Man. What are we going to do?
AB ゲームのことか
Yeah. So this. Should we just choose ally or betray?
確かに難しい問題だな。このゲームは実に興味深い。
How is this interesting? People's lives are at hand here, isn't it?
おそらく囚人のジレンマをした時期にしているのだろうが。
Oh, the prisoners. I don't know what the dilemma is really. What's that?
知らないのか？囚人のジレンマとはゲーム理論等でしばしば引き合いに出される有名な問題のことだ。
It's a game theory? I didn't know that's a game. Oh god. It's just a theory. A game. Okay, I got it. I get it. I'm removing myself out of that. But yeah, I didn't know that's a game theory. I thought that was like... I feel like that would be a social experiment rather, but it says it's a thought experiment, so I guess that's... And it uses gaming theory as the thing. I do know that there is a thing called game theory. My school that I went to offered it as one of the classes. I didn't take it because I think that it was a bit more tougher than the other stuff that we needed to do. It was like for my major, it was between game theory and probability and statistics, which I took probability and statistics because it was a bit more straightforward, and game theory was a bit more tougher to understand, I think, and required more attention, which I didn't have a lot of attention for. But I think I would have taken it otherwise if I had more thought time or more time to research it or be more invested into the topic, but I just didn't have the thoughts for it.
今ここに重大な罪を犯して逮捕されたリンゴちゃんとバナナくんがいるとする。
Okay. Apple and banana.
名前は適当につけたものだ。気にするな。とにかくリンゴちゃんとバナナくんは共犯の関係にあり、遠く離れた別々の独房に閉じ込められているんだ。
I just like how Sigma just stays silent over it after he asked.
だから二人は互いに連絡を取り合うことはできない。
Of course.
テレパシーも使えない。
Oh, so they're ditching the whole telepathy kind of thing in the... because in the first game it would have been like that, I guess. But in this case it's a little different because you're just determining other people's fate. Including yours, maybe?
そういう設定だ。ここまではいいな。
Yeah. Keep going.
そこに一人の刑事がやってくる。刑事はそれぞれの独房へと赴き、二人に対して全く同じ話をするんだ。それはこんな話。
もしお前ら二人が自分たちの犯した罪を認めず、このまま黙秘を続けるのなら、
Interesting, this one gets voiced.
お前らは二人とも懲役2年だ。だが、お前の相方が口を割らなかったとしても、お前さえ全てを白状してくれるというなら、お前の刑は1年に減らしてやろ
う。Oh, interesting. So basically it's the idea of would you want to rat out the other person? If you do, you get less of a punishment. But if you don't, then you will stay with the big punishment.
ただしこの時、お前の相方は懲役15年の刑に処されることになる。
Interesting. But then it's a little slightly different though. In this scenario with the apple and banana, if both of them rat out, then they both receive 15 years of sentence. If they don't rat each other out, then they get the 2 years. And then if one rats out the other, the one who ratted would have gotten only 1 year, while the one who did get ratted was 15 as well. Wouldn't that be the case? Like you basically suffer the same. Like I feel like it's a little different because you suffer more if they both accuse each other.
逆にお前の方が黙秘を続けて相方の方が白状したら、相方は1年でシャバに復帰し、お前は15年もの長きにわたって刑務所の臭い飯を食い続けることになるだろう。
Government cheese. I don't know how government cheese tastes like. What?
では、2人が揃って自白をした場合はどうなるか。その場合、2人の刑期は等しく10年になる。
But wait, he said that if you didn't do anything, if you don't say anything, you get 2 years anyways. Which means that the best solution is to just not to say anything, isn't it?
さあ、どうする？素直に全てを打ち明けるか、それともこのまま黙秘を続けるか。
Keep the trap shut, both of you. Then you just get 2 years. 2 years is the lightest sentence I've ever seen in my life.
無論、お前の相方もこの話を知っている。奴はどうするだろうな。よーく考えて結論を出してくれ。
So that's the prisoner's dilemma.
そうだ。 シグマ。お前ならどうする？もしもお前がリンゴちゃんだったとしたら。
Well, if my erstwhile criminal associate Banana is going to keep his mouth shut. Yeah, see, the 2 years is like the best solution, I guess. I see, so it's like the best possible outcome is that you confess, but the other stays silent. But the second best is both of us staying silent. Both of them staying silent. Then the best choice for me is to spill the beans. That way I only serve 1 year. But what if he confesses too? Then the smart thing would be for me to do the same. After all, if he cuts the deal and I don't, then I'll spend 15 years in prison. If I confess, I could shave 5 years off of that. Then it seems like the best choice is always going to be to confess.
なるほどな。だが、お前は大事なことを忘れている。
Which is?
相方のバナナ君も、間違いなく同じように考えるだろうってことだよ。
True.
その結果、二人は共に罪を打ち明け、懲役10年の刑に処されることになるんだ。これがどういうことか、わかるか？
Well, I'm not going to speak for Sigma. Sigma can speak for himself. I'm speaking for myself. At this point, it's all down to trust. I don't think there's a thing where you know, it's just a like sort of like it's not like a straightforward like logical sense of things. It's just more like, does the other person trust me to know what's best? And then will the other person trust me? Like, will that person trust me to know what's best? And can I give my trust to the other person? This is more like the trust kind of game kind of playing instead of just playing the logical sense. I think no matter what, a majority of people will, or actually not maybe not a majority. I'd say 50%, a little bit over 50%, maybe 75% as well. Could be a number, I think, of people will most likely choose the second best favor, which is like the one that's like lighter sentencing and stuff like that. But I think that it depends on what kind of situation some people are. Like, if people have nothing left to lose, they could just throw it out there because they have a distrust with the other person, I think. Or they didn't build on the trust of the other person. But I think that the second best solution is based on if we both have equal trust with each other, knowing that we're not there to just, like, get rid of people, honestly. There was a thought in my head that I think that if we were up against Dio and the kid, I forget the kid's name already. I think Dio would be the one who would kind of take the betrayal no matter what. But I think everybody in this group, besides Dio's group, will be the ones who's going to hit betrayal, I think. Because I feel like Dio is that type of character who's just like, I don't give two stuffs. I'm gonna get what I want, man. I want to get out of here kind of feeling. Like, I think it comes down to how desperate is anybody in this group is. I'm playing it out narratively versus logically, because I think logic does not play a sense in narrative for this case. Obviously, it's to influence me as a player. The whole lesson of the prisoner's dilemma is to teach me as a player about that concept / theory, but it's only to influence me in a way that makes me want to think about it logically instead of narratively. I think narratively, if I want a particular story to go down, I would want it to be favorable to me as a player versus having it to be like, what if this is a thing? Like, it makes me feel like I'm the one who's conducting the experiment in this case, instead of just me wanting to just see how the story plays out based on my choices, kind of thing.
二人が互いにそれぞれの幸せを願っていたら、二人の刑期は2年で済んだはず。ところが、二人が自分の利益を追求したがために、それよりも8年も長く服役しなければならないことになってしまった。つまり、個人の合理的な判断は集団に対して不利益をもたらすばかりでなく、 その判断を行った個人にとっても不幸な結果を招くということだ。
Of course.
な。
Yeah, because it leads to distrust. If you choose the wrong thing, it bleeds into distrust with the two people or the two parties. But if you do give trust, then the trust stays stronger than ever, so that the next time when we ever get partnered up, in some cases where we had to decide on each other, then we would trust each other very well and very easily without problems, of course.
似てるだろ。
Ambidex Room. I see the AB. I see.
AB ゲームと。
I see. So, yeah. They are pretty much the same thing. If we trust Alice, we can both increase our BP by 2. But if we don't trust each other, in the long run, it won't benefit either of us.
さらに興味深いのは次の点にある。今、仮に閉じ込められた9人全員を一つの仲間、一つのチームと考えてみることにしよう。すると9人にとっての敵は誰になる？
No one, just ourselves. 0, of course.
そうだな。要するに我々9人は、この AB ゲームでゼロと戦っているとも言えるわけだ。ではもしもそう考えた場合、この9人によって構成されたチームが、ゼロに勝利するためにはどうすればいいと思う？総得点で考えると分かりやすいだろう。例えば9人全員が協力を選んだ場合、チーム全体の総得点はいくつになる？
Trying to think. Everyone's equally at 3, right? So everyone's gonna get 5. It would take us 3 rounds to get to 9, basically. I think that would be the case. But do we have 3 rounds of this particular thing where ally and betray is a choice every time? Because we need 3 rounds to get to 9 to get out of here, I think. But if we choose to play by the betrayal, 3 would just be down to two rounds of this, basically. Betrayals would just drop 1 whole turn round. But then there is a possibility that if both betrays, then that hurts everybody. I feel like the whole encouragement is to either betray in hopes that the other person doesn't betray, or to ally and like wait it out. I like to play the long game because I know for a fact that that's guaranteed victory, rather than betray somebody to rush it, because rushing it just means that you can lose out on other people who will not help you throughout the rest of the games of an ordinary game, basically. Well, 2 times 9 is 18, so 18 points.
じゃあペア版のうち1組だけが裏切りを選んだとしたら？
The pair who picks betray will get 3 points each, so in total they'll have 6 points. But the solo they betrayed will have 2 points subtracted, so the total gain for that game would only be 4 points. The other 2 groups would choose ally for that round, right?
Ah.
So for the other teams, you'll get 6 each, which will give you 2 times 6, which is 12. Plus 4. 16 total.
さて、この結果からわかることは何だ？
If we consider all 9 of us to be on the same team, we need to all always choose ally to get the most points. If even one person chooses betray, the total points we get goes down.
そういうことだ。
Which I feel like will happen because of Dio. I still don't trust Dio's ass.
このゲームにおいては、各自が集団の利益を考えて行動するのが最も有効な策となる。それが各々個人の利益を追求しだすと、集団にとってマイナスになるばかりか。
Definitely.
むしろ巡り巡って自分の首を絞めることにもなりかねない。
Totally.
9人全員が裏切りを選べば、チーム全体の総得点は言うまでもなく0点だ。 誰も得しない。それを選んだ本人さえも。つまり各自の合理的な判断が全体にとっても個人にとっても不利益をもたらすということだ。
Okay, I think I get it. I feel like the explanation is way too long-winded, though. I mean, it's not interesting. It's not interesting explanations, honestly. I don't know. I mean, I feel like people will probably be fine with it if it's just... Sorry, I'm just looking at the time. I think that people are fine with the explanation when it's like a first time around, but the explanations sometimes are too long-winded to the point where I'm just like, huh, I don't feel like it matters, because ultimately I'd rather have the choice be on my own accord. Like, I like to choose it myself. Like, I want to do the choice myself. I don't want to hear about how somebody else's choice do the thing, because I feel like once we make the thing and said it, like, once said and done, it's done already. Like, the results is what matters, not so much as the process of thinking, I feel like, at this moment, because it's obviously given for us personally that, like for me personally, I think that I already know what I want, and I'm going to choose ally no matter what, because I want to get to that point, and then the story will take me there as well, where it's like I think that if I was in the flow state where I'm like trying to fulfill the other state of like flow, trying to make sure that I'm getting the right decision tree done in the flow state here, then it would make sense for me to be like, okay, I want to choose the other one. But like, I don't really care for the explanation as much, because I think the explanation itself is something to be explored. If I feel like, you know, you give me a keyword and then you explain it and that's it, then I'm fine with that. Like, I don't really care if the total points output is like 18 or not. That's like, I don't know. But at the same time, we don't even get to control what the other characters are thinking or what they're saying to each other. Instead, we're only worrying about ourselves at the moment anyways. So, what you're saying is that I should just pick ally.
違う。
Huh?
逆だ。
What? Nani?
今ここで最も理にかなった選択を行うとするなら、我々の投票先は裏切りの一択で決まりということになる。
I want to punch you, Fi. I really want to punch you. Not really, but I do. Like, spiritually, I want to punch you. Physically, I don't want to punch you. But, like, spiritually, I'm like, why? 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 I thought you were, like, smarter than that, Vi. I thought you were, but you're not. You're clearly not. You're not smarter than what I thought you were. Like, you knew the things, but you choose to do the thing because you want to reduce the cost of... What? Why? Nani? Doshite? You just explained why that was a terrible idea.
いや、違わない。囚人のジレンマが、ジレンマたるゆえんは、みんながハッピーになれる選択肢があるにもかかわらず、それを合理的には選べない、という点にあるんだ。選びたくても選べない。だから、ジレンマなんだよ。
Oh, I see. So she's saying it's the dilemma because there's a factor of wanting it, but there's a factor of not doing it. So it's the dilemma. Thanks for teaching me the English language again. She's just saying it's not the right answer, but it's gonna be the answer we won't choose ever.
我々が協力を選び、アリスも同じく協力を選んでくれたとしたら、そりゃもう最高に幸せなことだ。3人が揃って2点を獲得できることになるからな。それが理想形。我々が目指すべき形はそこにある。だが、もしもアリスが裏切りに投票したら、どうなる？
Again. This is all about trust. If you didn't trust Alice to choose ally, then because at some point somebody's gonna have to make a choice. If they choose to betray us, we lose interest in trusting them ever again. That's the point. Dragging the thing longer further apart. Yeah, sure, you know, like, the person might not be as interested in, like, betraying us, or they're, like, you have to trust the human factor of it. Again, this is totally relying on too much of just the pure logic behind it. Like, that's why I don't like that there's no human element to this idea. It's just that it's keep pushing this button of mine where I'm just like, stop telling me logically it makes sense to do this thing better off, so because it's good for the points to get out. It's like, I don't care. I had nothing to lose. You know why? Because this game has multiple endings and I have so much choices to make, yet this thing doesn't make me feel anxious about making those choices because they keep explaining it to me. And I think that's another issue with, like, with this sort of, like, story piece, is like, you don't feel the cost. Like, in a simple game of, let's say, like, a shooter game. Like, I'm playing Bioshock Infinite right now. I'm shooting, and I'm closing in on, like, having no ammo left on the current gun I have. Logically, I would want to either swap it out or change to my secondary. And I can feel the pain of that. Like, I can feel the logical sense of, like, I need to obviously, like, use the logic of doing the thing. But in this case, it's not the same, because it's like you're dealing with another character, you're dealing with a story element to it. Because when you're doing, like, shooters where you're just shooting things, you're not worrying about if the enemy is, like, your ally sometimes, because you clearly tell it's red reticle enemy right there, but there's no story behind how that guy's gonna, you know, shape your story for the future sense. Here, they do shape your future in a sense. But over-explaining that just makes me feel annoyed, because I don't need to be explained that many times over about how the next person might betray me. Like, if they betray me, fine. I don't give a crap. Like, I can rewind and restart, I think. And I think that's why I feel like if you go into it too hard and role-playing it, like, I don't know, like, I think it works best if it had a replayability where you don't see the flow at all. Yeah, because as a game design, narrative design thing, I feel like if we never knew there was such thing as a flow, I think I would have probably felt more interested in seeing where, like, where this particular situation being over-explained is important to me. Because, you know, like, I don't know what's next. I don't know if this requires me to play through the game all over again from the top, kind of thing. Like the heavy replayability in Dishonored, or a heavy replayability of, like, some other small game that has stories as, like, an important factor to the replayability. But knowing that we can come back to this and choose a thing differently, it makes me feel very not interested in hearing the explanation as much, because these characters ultimately will do their thing of either choosing betray or ally anyways, so there's no point in over-explaining too much of this dilemma. Our BP will go down to 1.
だよな。そうなったらもう後がない。
Yeah, you're screwed, so what?
だから。
投票の締め切りまで残り20分です。
Makes me think of the incinerator situation from the previous game, though.
とにかく、アリスが協力を選ぶという確証がない以上、我々は裏切りを選ばざるを得ないんだよ。
Oh, shut it.
協力で統一すれば、集団の利益は最大になる。そんなことは分かっている。分かっているが、選べないんだ。どうしてもな。
We can't? Are you stupid, Fi? We do. We have a choice. The choice is we can choose to ally and not care about that. Oi. Hey. Did you just say we're screwed? If you don't mind telling me, what did you mean by that? I'm guessing something happens if our BP hits 0, right? I mean, the way you said it sure makes it seem like something's going to happen. Do you know something? You do know something. What are you hiding? Honestly, we die. That's what happens when we hit 0. Didn't they explain this rule already? Sigma, how did you forget? The rule is that everybody dies if they hit 0 points, isn't it? Yeah, you know, there's been something weird about you from the moment we met. I mean, for starters, how do you know my name?
いい加減にしてくれ。その話はもううんざりだ。
I don't care if it's getting ancient. This is important. I don't know you, but you seem to know me somehow. The only explanation I can think of that makes any kind of sense is that you're working with 0.
そっちこそどうなんだ。
What? なんで？
お前の方こそゼロの仲間なんじゃないか。
Thanks a lot for throwing a question to me as a character, but for me as a player, I just don't care. Because I don't think that it's easy to tell if... Like, the way Sigma works does not feel like he works for 0 at all. Like, none of his dialogue really presents that dilemma, that problem. Me? Watashi? Why would you think that?
落ち着きすぎているからだ。突然こんなわけのわからないところにぶち込まれたというのに、どうしてそんな風に平然としていられる？
Because we go through the telepathy thing again, like Junpei. It's just funny because it's like Junpei just relaxingly does things at the end of that previous game, but it's like for Sigma, it's like almost similar in that fashion, I bet. Oh, come on! I could ask you the same thing.
話をそらすな。
Oh, now she's gonna blame it on me now.
今はお前の話をしている。
Really? It started on you and then you're just gonna flip the table around to me? Are you kidding me?
もしやお前も私のことを知っているのではないか。
What? Where the hell did that come from? Look, I already told you, I've never seen you before. In my life. Oh, flashback. I guess it's a vision of another version of our space.
Sigma. もう諦めよう。残念だが、時間が来てしまったようだ。最後に一つだけ言っておこう。シグマ、お前には感謝してる。こうして死を覚悟しながらも、お前はこの場に踏みとどまってくれた。ありがとう、シグマ。
I feel like this is like from a different flow path that we're not gonna see until a lot later, I bet.
シグマ。
We're on the moon? Explosion? What? What was that? What was... I'm trying to think what would you say in Japanese? It's like soda nande, I think it would be. Soda wa nande desu ka?
どうしたんだ?
I think that's how it would have sounded. I don't know. I might be wrong. I saw the explosion.
爆発?
I think there's a bomb somewhere in this building. I'm not sure, but it sounded like it was on a timer. You and I were trying to stop it, but we couldn't do anything, and
ちょっと待てシグマ。落ち着いてくれ。お前、一体何を言ってるんだ。 おい、今度はなんだよ。
My head.
痛むのか？
Yeah. はい。
そういえば、最初に AB ルームの中で目覚めた時も言ってたな。
Yeah, because we got knocked out, I guess. It didn't just hurt. It felt like I was going to explode.
大丈夫か？
I think so.
ちょっと休んだらどうだ？
Yeah. Maybe I could just lay my head on your lap. Really? Are you kidding me? At a time like this? Alright, I'm gonna end it here for now, guys. Guys and gals. Actually, let me see what she... Okay, I want to leave it at the silence. Why? What's with your lips? Oh my god, the lips are so weird. It's just like, oh. Alright, next episode. Let's go and continue through this. Technically, we're gonna go through it and like make a decision in the next episode. I hope they stop explaining stuff and let me just decide on what the hell is to do next. Because I'm really annoyed by the fact that it's still stuck at explaining things. I think one of the key problems from the previous game in Zero Escape 999 was that they over-explain some things, or they explain things that just goes at length to a topic that just feels not important or unrelated, and that sometimes it is related, but it wasn't like to a point where it became like a crux of a situation. Like, I guess this is fine because it is explaining a crux of a situation, but it's like, why over-explain things, you know? Like, that's a big question I always ask myself. If you're going through a narrative situation or a narrative story, you gotta figure out why explain everything and over-explain it. Is it the point to give, like, headache to the player? To confuse the player even further? Make a decision that's... Because ultimately, as I said before, like, the decision's already been made as the player. Like, if you walk into it, you're given the choice. What does the player think? The thinking comes from the fact that they already thought of it before, of what they wanted. Not so much as when the moment comes that they will, you know, immediately not think about what to do next. So giving too much explanation, over-explaining it, kind of kills my interest in, like, caring about what's next. Or caring about, like, about what they're saying. Like, if I already know what the button I'm going to press, I don't really give a crap about what's next for what they're explaining, because all it does is just adds more annoyance. If not annoyance, then confusion. And if not confusion, just misunderstandings of what the heck, you know, how heavy this importance of the choice is to the story. So, anyways, whatever it is, we'll figure it out in the next episode. Other than that, Roz,